those of you that love to run outside on trails but you can't due to weather or other factors, or maybe you've always wanted to run on some iconic trail races or just mountains, beautiful areas, someplace you don't have access to, I'm going to show you how to run virtually on some of these beautiful trails, iconic areas using your NordicTrack Treadmill. Full disclaimer, I am not a NordicTrack Treadmill expert. I don't know if this works for all of them. I believe it does for some of the later models. We've got an X22i. We bought this back in late 2019. Of course, it comes with the ifit app with all the great videos and instructors, but it also comes with the ability to do a map workout, which allows you to map a route and have Google Street View images show up on the screen as you're running. Now, if you're not familiar, the way these map-based workouts work is that a route is created along a path anywhere in the world. It can be on roads, trails, anywhere. When you run the workout on your treadmill, the images taken are going to show up on your screen, making it a virtual experience like you're kind of actually running there. A couple of things regarding how the treadmill is going to follow the terrain. First is it's going to be automatic. So the treadmill is going to follow that path, whatever is happening in the real world. It's just going to automatically mimic that and go up and down. One thing to remember is that if your treadmill has, if it only goes up to like 15% and the real world path goes up to 30% or 40%, then it's obviously going to top out at 15. The X22i actually goes up to 40% incline and goes down to a -6 decline. So I really love that. It really helps when I'm trying to follow these paths that might have a lot of changes in them. The other thing I would mention is that if you're following a path that has a lot of constant, frequent up, down, changing drastic shifts, I would override that and just put it at whatever the average is. Like if I'm climbing a mountain, there's a lot of drastic shifts. I might just put it at 20 or 25 and leave it there till that terrain kind of evens out a little bit. Problem is that incline motor, when it's constantly changing, can overheat and can actually lead the incline motor to fail. Ours actually failed kind of because of that, so I replaced it, working fine now. But in terms of the images you're going to see on this map workout, keep in mind it's not a video, it's going to be static images. It's going to progress at the speed that you're running or walking. So if you're walking slow, you'll slowly see a new image as it progresses along that path. If you're running fast, they're going to click along faster. And while they're not a video, it still is pretty cool. It gives you a really good sense of you're actually in that area, especially with the way that it follows the speed of how fast you're progressing on the treadmill. So now, how do we find these routes and how do we program them on your treadmill? Well, it's fairly easy to figure that out using Google Maps. So on your desktop, laptop, or phone, go to Google, go to the maps, type in the name of the location of whatever city or landmark or whatever will get you close to the area you want. Once you locate the desired area on the map, find your trail or road or whatever. And sometimes for the trails, you have to zoom in quite a bit. They'll typically show up on the map as a green dotted line. And sometimes they won't even show up on the maps if they're not well established or used. Now there's a way to create a map workout from those trails, but that gets a little tricky. I'll get into that a little bit later. So let's say we've got a trail that we can see pretty easily on the map as a green dotted line. Once you've located that, then look in the lower left corner of the map. You should see an icon showing the map type. If you're on a computer, then hover over that icon and there's an option that appears for more map details. Click on that. Once you have the additional map details, click on the Street View option. When that option is selected, all the routes that have Google 360-degree Street View images associated with them are going to be highlighted in blue. On the computer, you can hover over that line, hover over a point of it, and it's going to show you a small icon preview of the image associated with that part of your path. And if you click on it, it'll display a full screen 360 image at that point. You can drag the image around at 360 degrees, kind of give you a feel of what that particular point on the route looks like in the real world. I love to do this before I'm creating a route, so I kind of know exactly what the images are going to look like, what it's going to feel to run on that route when I'm running it on my treadmill. So once you have your route and you've determined that there are Street View images associated with it, the next step is to get that route programmed as a map workout on your treadmill. Now I'm not sure in other models, but for the X22i and the similar machines to that, if you go to the main home screen, if you look at the bottom middle portion, there is a Create function button. Click on that and it will take you to the Create screen. When it comes up, it'll randomly pull up some location located in the search bar at the top left. Just like on Google, type in the name of the closest city or landmark that'll get you to your path, and then the map will adjust to that spot. Once there, just like in Google, use like the normal pinch functions to make the map bigger or smaller to get to the path you want. And then once you click on the first point on the map, that's going to be your starting point. Every click after that, the route's going to extend from that point, following the shortest route if the snap to road function is on. Sometimes you have to enlarge the map quite a bit to see the trail show up in the standard or the satellite version of the image. Now if the route or trail you're using is fairly established, then the snap to road will work great. Sometimes when creating routes on trails, that function doesn't work and you're going to need to use the manual mode. It gets a little tricky here, but you can still create a route as long as you know the Street View images associated with that path. So you just click the snap to road to turn that off, and wherever you click on the screen, it'll map a route directly to that point. Make sure you have a map of the actual route handy that you can reference so that when you're manually clicking directional points, it's actually following the correct path. Generally, it'll take a while, but you can follow that path, and if there's Google Street View images, it'll create a nice map workout. You can always check if you're correctly following the trail path by checking the bottom left of the map create screen. It should load a new small Google image when you click on a point on the map if you're following the trail correctly. If you get a white or a no image on the bottom left, then you're either not following the path correctly or there's no Street View images for that part of the path. And once you've fully created your route, then you just choose Save New Workout, type in a name and description, and save it. It'll go into your workouts that you've created, and from there you can select it and schedule it and run it on your treadmill. So how do you know which trails that you might want to make a map workout of? Well, sometimes I just know of a particular trail or a trail race course, and I'll go to Google, type that in, see if there's any images. And sometimes I just Google like beautiful areas in the world and start looking around, put on the Street View and see if there's any paths or images or trails that have Street View images, and I'll get some great routes that way. I've made some amazing virtual map workouts in New Zealand on some great tracks in the Alps, the Dolomites, Lake Tahoe area. Lots of great places to just kind of search around and see if there's great paths you can make a workout from. Some of my favorite virtual map workouts have come from a couple of great trail races, the Western States and the Hardrock 100. I went to Google and both of those routes were fully imaged with Google Street View images. So it took a while. I do them in kind of 20-mile sections to break them up a little because who's got time to run 100 miles each session on the treadmill. So I do little 20-mile sections, and both of those have areas that have to be done manually because it doesn't follow the road or the path, so it's kind of a pain in the butt. But yeah, totally fun when I'm running on the treadmill and I've got the path to Western States up there and pretending like I'm actually on the course. And you know, who's kidding who? I'm probably not getting in either of those races, so it's as close as I'm gonna get. Hopefully this was helpful to you. A lot of people on Strava were asking me to make a video explaining how I do my virtual routes on the treadmill. So hopefully this helped you get there if you got a NordicTrack Treadmill. If you got any questions, just feel free to leave them in the comments or message me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks.